Last week on Pokemon Cooked League, the Sinister's Gouging Fire's defensive typing proved invaluable in outlasting Gen 7's Sun-based strategy, while Woman got a much-deserved bye week after taking down the only undefeated trainer remaining. The Sinisters already secured themselves a playoff spot, but Woman need this win to remove any doubt of them getting knocked out. Can feminism rise one more time? Hello, welcome to match 2 of the final week of the regular season. We have Women versus the Sinastchas, who are not running Sinastchas. And let's see. The stakes for this match, at least from the perspective for women when this came out, if he wins this match, he makes playoffs. That is what it is. But in hindsight, since I won my match, he's in playoffs anyways. And for the Sinistchas, he's just playing for seeding right now. But this was a big match at the time when it happened. So, let's see. I've talked to Women a lot about like what he wanted to do. He was telling me his thought process and like what he wanted, and he was going back and forth. It's like, okay, he was doing Trick Room, then he thought of Tailwind, and then I'm not going to talk about his exact strategy because I think it'll be more interesting to see it play out in real time. But I know what he's I have a general idea of I know what he's cooking, and yeah, I am kind of surprised to not see Sinister at all here. The Hitmontop is Hitmontop definitely has a lot of ups and downs. Having Wide Guard for like expanding force spam is very nice, but you're also bringing a fighting type against a team that has brought 3 psychic types, and it's common to bring 3 psychic types, so it's very 50-50 on that. I did think the Araquanid is pretty important here. One of the few mons in the game that can like really threaten Ursaluna, and has has good typing against most of the team. Water Stab does pretty decent, and the things it doesn't hit for super effectively, or at least neutrally, he can usually resist the other types here. And on the other side, Peony is just so bulky against a team that's trying to get 1-8 KOs that it can be really annoying here. Also, like water typing for the Armarouge, the Arcanine, the Iron Treads, and then Berry Stab for the Gallades. Very annoying here. And I'm not going to talk about exact leads, so let's just get into this one. Alright, and we see the leads of it being Hitmontop, Basculegion here. You know, these are both pretty safe leads. Basculegion, usually it's Choice Scarf, so it just clicks Flip Turn to pivot into something that's more beneficial at the time, and it has a choice of what to Flip Turn out for super effective damage. The Iron Treads is probably less likely to blow up in your face, in the sense of being that Armarouge, sometimes weak armor, which can backfire, and then we've seen weakness policy Armarouge before, and so that's a very common item to run. And also the Iron Treads is minus attack here, so it's not even that threatening. And then Hitmontop's also a safe lead, Intimidate and Fake Out. You know what it does. So let's see what they decide to bring up here. And we see that the not going for Fake It Out and just going straight for the close combat. Iron Treads is bulky enough to, I'm pretty sure it lives when close combat. At least depending on these monster train, but I'm pretty sure it does. It's got good defense. And we see that we do in fact see the Flip Turn here. And now you start out the Fake Out turns, and now you have data on what he wants to click here. It's Flip Turn. Not that that's too big of a surprise, but you also trap it for a turn, which could be useful. Like, oh, you don't protect, he fakes out, then you turn to pivoting. So now it's a little stranded here. So let's see if there's a potential way to punish this here. And yeah, that was kind of the fear, as I knew he was trying to do self-proc weakness policy, and that's a big reason why the Hitmontop was being brought here. I've talked about this earlier. Now, Wide Guard's just so important. And we can see that he tried to play around Wide Guard with a little bit with having Psychic over Expanding Force. Expanding Force obviously wouldn't have even been a spread move, but Psychic is a more powerful move, and it will never get blocked by Wide Guard. And even though the Wide Guard didn't stop the Psychic, it did stop the Earthquake. And the Earthquake would have been the extra chip necessary for the Basque Legion for the Basque Legion to get KO'd there. So even though the Wide Guard didn't do the full thing that he was probably thinking he might have done, it still did its job, and it kept the Basque Legion alive, got the flip turn, KO'd the Armor Rouge, and now things are a little scary here. Let's see, probably Gallade's the best spring here. As Psychic and Fighting type stab against the Ursaluna and the Hitmontop, so that's pretty threatening here. We're gonna bring in the Araquanid. This also makes sense. It's a bulky-ish mon. And then I know he might want to get Web Stop, but a giant water type liquidation would definitely be big against the Ursaluna. And it might even KO it. I think yeah, that or like maybe it's special and it's clicking a Scald here. I think you talk about it was going to be special. But the Araquanid's slower, so you are going to eat going to eat a potential double up here before it gets to attack, but that's awkward. So if the Araquanid can live, you can KO the Ursaluna, which would be great. But if not, things get dicey real fast. The fact that this gets Volt Switch is so funny to me. Yep, Facade just KOs. Which is kind of why I expected the Gallade to come out next, but maybe the thinking is that you sack this to get a safer pivot into something, and maybe the Gallade can start putting up some big boy damage here. Because now the Gallade's in Psychic terrain, which is almost for a couple of reasons. Stops things like Aqua Jet if the Araquanid is running that. And two, it obviously powers up those Psychic type moves. And now that you have the Indeedee out after the defense at the Hitmontop defense drop, you can start putting on a lot of pressure and start putting pressure back on the opponent here. Like this could very well be a double KO here, and it's gonna be. I would be almost surprised there isn't. There would have to be a switch to prevent a double KO, but like, what? Nothing feels great about switching into this. Like maybe you like can get a raid, like you go for a giant raid where it's like, okay, I send Basque Legion here into the you can just send Basque Legion into the Ursaluna slot here, and then like to dodge close combat, and then you have a Basque Legion that can start threatening Shadow Ball against the I guess it's not Shadow, some ghost type move against the Gallade here with its low HP, and then the Hitmontop is maybe get Sacro clicks Wide Guard to stop Expanding Force here. It's gonna be interesting to see what attack Indeedee actually has here. Oh, you can also get terrain. I keep forgetting that Tapu Fini just gets this is a terrain war. I did not know it's got Energy Ball. All right, I'm assuming the Psycho Cut might have actually been able to KO the Ursaluna here. This might be banded. Or see, let me look the. Well, the Gallade did go first, but that could just be the Indeedee is just not as speed invested here, and then Gouging Fire. With what I presume is the Brewster speed here. Yeah, this is where things get very... Because if you attack into the Burning Bulwark, that's a disaster, obviously, because you burn yourself. But now, how do you deal with the speed control? And honestly, how do you deal with just clicking the breaking swipe of the game? It still will do decent damage because Gallade just hits that hard, but like, how do you do something like breaking... And then, obviously, the... Tapu Fini also threatens a Moonblast, which also stinks. Like, ugh. And your switch-ins for that are not good either. Like the, yeah, you can switch into like the Arcanine, and then you're like in the same trouble with like Tapu Fini threatens a water move now, or the Iron Treads can eat a Moonblast, but then the Gouging Fire threatens a Heat Crash because the Iron Treads no longer even has booster energy anymore, so you can't even outspeed it. And we can just see how much... Tapu Fini is a bulky Pokemon to begin with, but we can see just how much losing that terrain in one attack increase just makes the Psycho Cut just not hit nearly the same here. Oh, we do, and we have manual Psychic terrain here, which also, which powers back up those Psychic type attacks, but unfortunately does not help you against Breaking Swipe the move. It does help you KO. It does make you might be able to KO the Tapu Fini now, even after a Breaking Swipe. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. So like that's rough, and you're just like running out of stuff here. This Gouging Fire is just such a threatening mon. Yeah, like you're basically begging for a crit here, and I don't see Iron Treads and a Suing Arcanine getting there ever. Gouging Fire can just keep on clicking. It can either click Breaking Swipe to decrease the attack, or just threaten Giant. I don't know how heavy Iron Treads is, so maybe he crashes even hit that much. I expect this Breaking Swipe in a Water type move into one of these mons, and I don't think it really matters which one, because there's the Hitmontop in the back, and just so much more stuff. A healthier Saluna. Yeah, we're just gonna get the Intimidate train going. Oof, that's burned. Yeah, this is just gonna be a fairly slow and painful death. Wow, that did nothing. Surprised he isn't going for the more. I think just more what's it called is better at this point. The I don't really think it matters. It doesn't. Yeah, that's a close comp. Yeah, that's gonna be game here. It's gonna be if he can KO any more mons. And the answer will be no. But yeah, that's what happens, man. You think you have the perfect plan, and then one thing can go wrong and things can spiral, especially since someone who like has been ranked #1 in the ladder, has done well in tournaments. It's real tough, man. It never gets easier, man. You think you have the very rare. I feel like only one person ever had the perfect scheme against Jack, and that was Ryan in the finals, where he like skill swapped with like Intimidate and Adrenaline Orb with Articuno to get like a +2 attack boost and a speed boost. It was a crazy combo that ended up working well. But yeah, fortunately for Jake, he's still gonna be in the playoffs. But that's gonna do it for me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.